It was a gross and muggy late winter morning. My ceiling had sprung a leak, so the dehumidifier had turned my house into a sauna that's made the morning just a little bit more worse. My son fast asleep and ready to catch up with good old dear friend. I decided to begin my breakfast with Alec.
I just finished taking my hormones, not but seconds before, on a terribly muggy late winter morning. The humidity causing me to wake up having an anxiety attack, although whether or not that was due to just hellish political news, or my own financial troubles, or mulling over going back to a job that I resigned from for ideological reasons. Ideological? I don't know. But either way, I was excited to jump on to a podcast episode with my podcast with Adam.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Adam.
Hey, welcome.
Hey.
To Finding Monster Rights.
The show about finding monsters, right?
Right. I'm Adam.
I'm Allie.
And, yeah, this is going to be our episode about my dinner with Andre. They said it could be done.
They said it couldn't be done. They were like, when I went up to them, in my brain, right? The critics. The critics who are like the enlightened Skeksis, dark crystal beings.
I imagine, like, the looking at the past avatars, so it's just an endless line of them.
Just like that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, who are, like, the audience and my own standards, and I don't know what. Our podcast has, like, a good, like 5 people listen to our show, and I'm dating one of them. But, like, I'm gonna do an episode about grown-up, important media, about 2 guys talking.
Yeah, but my dinner with Andre being the, just this kind of instinctual go-to of, like, listen, it's a movie about a conversation.
Right, yeah.
It is art. You have to get the art. Can a movie be about anything? Yes, it can. My dinner with Andre is our source.
Mm.
My experience with this film was purely in just like I said, that was it, that tangential, like, Dan Harmon goes to this often, why, specifically, this film, and I was pleasantly surprised by what ensued, and that there's actually a hidden Finding Monster Right premise inside.
There is, yeah. I did not pull this out of nowhere. They said, like, the boring, grown-up, serious adult media, and I was like, oh, we can make a goofy monster show about this one.
No, we actually can, and that's what we're going to do for our imposing audience right now.
Yeah. In preparing for the episode, I rewatched the movie.
I watched it for the first time across 3 sittings, which is my life now. Bad. I do not recommend. I do not recommend watching 10 minutes and then 10 minutes and then an hour 30.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that's fair. I think you're still getting a bulk of the movie in one sitting.
I think the 20 to 30 minute mark is when it really picks up.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So my misconception about this film was I thought it was about 2 guys talking, and one wants to kill himself, and the other one convinced him not to.
No, that's Finding Monster Right. Easy mistake.
I think it's really funny because it's almost not a joke.
It's almost not.
But yeah, no, that's what I thought the premise of the movie was. Then I'm watching him like, oh shit, Wallace Shaw is in this.
Yeah, yeah.
Is is this what Wallace Shaw is known for?
Yes, he was actually cast on The Princess Bride off of the back of this movie.
That makes sense because he drops the word inconceivable in this film, and I started cheering like it was an MCU cameo.
That is why.
Oh wow,
That's precisely it. Yeah.
great. So yeah, he's in it, and I was like, oh, that's neat. I want to spend some more time with this guy. And no, that is not the premise of the. The premise is something that is kind of, I think, it's been kind of lost to the ages a little bit. 44 years later, I think I think the conversation is take a different route in the is people's consumption of art being lost and humanity is deteriorating because of it. Right?
Yeah, something to that tune.
Mm-hmm.
Like, art is a means of, like, communion with a deeper truth of the universe, like a less material truth.
Yeah.
And we're losing that connection to art. Oh no, people are bad now. What I think, and also everything can go back to the Nazis.
Yeah. There, it's like there's like a kind of a yuppie theater, persona that they're really going for on this one, and it's like I'm like my gut reaction is you don't know how far you have to fall.
Yeah.
Is my read. It's like, listen, this idea is replaced by like the TV special critic of like the 90s, and it's like that's gonna deteriorate further into like the YouTube yes men reviewers, and it's like, we're much further down the spiral. you guys have a way to fall.
Honestly, I think the main fault that I have about this, the main, like, not exactly boomerism, because Wallace, I think, is a boomer, but I think Andre counts as silent generation.
Okay.
Unless he said 44, no, that would still be. Anyway,
I think a boomer talking to a previous generation is a good energy to describe this.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Wally is like all love to Wallace Shawn.
Oh yeah. My heart goes out.
That's a rough 36.
Oh my god. Oh no.
Are you saying, oh my god, like that was too mean?
No, I'm saying like, oh my god, like, I'm gonna be 36 relatively soon. I hope that's not, in the grand scheme of things, I'm a college degree away from being 36.
My partner is 37 and they look much better than that, don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, look at this. Oh my god, I'm sorry, Wallace Shaw. I'm sorry that this was done to you.
To be fair, I think more recently he looks better. I think he just aged quickly and then kind of like, well, this is getting talking about a person's appearance.
Sure. Let's pull back a bit.
Yeah, he's definitely aged better, I think, since then. But just people age at weird rates, and I think in the past, like in the era of smoking and asbestos, like people aged a lot worse than they do now.
Yeah, I've also heard it as like there's a fame amber that occurs. Like whatever age you are when you get famous, like that's the one that you can get like all the treatment and get like kind of caught in. That's why Willem Dafoe looks the way that he does. Because it's like, oh, he didn't get his success until he was in his 40s.
Now I'm just thinking about how big. Never mind.
And what's his name? Tom Holland looks like he's perpetually like 19.
That's cool. I've heard about that from like a notion of how proficient celebrities are with computers.
Ooh. Is it weird that I picture that there's that most celebrities do not interface with them?
Yes.
Like Tom Cruise would be disgusted by having to send an email.
Absolutely. And honestly, good for Tom Cruise. I hate emails.
They're no fun.
That guy's not right about everything, but he is right. But anyway, I think that the failing of my dinner with Andre is like where I would argue with Andre the most is that it's not that, like, the failing is not on the individual level.
Ooh, okay. I like this.
Like, yeah, it's not like, the like the more recent generations have grown weaker. Quickly, we must to the sacrifice chamber for the corn. Like I don't know what the I don't know what the traditionalist perspective would be, but like talk about fascistic.
Yeah.
Um it's like, oh, the West is dying. Like, I don't think the West is dying. I think it's that, like, we've let fucking corporations and, like, I could blame anything. I could blame religious types. In the movie, he blames science to some extent. Not terribly, but, like, definitely to some extent. Like, pins his society as being one that is overly controlled by science. And it's like, you are a second away. You are in 1981, a second away from look pretty and do as little as possible. Like, they could have cured AIDS in the 80s and they just didn't so that they could kill gay people.
Right. Yeah, it was knocking on some big stuff. I also was very upset when it's like, science is to blame. I'm like, are you the cultural deteriorations like I see the corporate stuff. It's like the argument with like recycling.
Mm-hmm.
That's his perspective. It's like, people aren't recycling enough anymore. And it not like the when the answer to that is like 100 companies are responsible for 70% of pollution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think culturally there's a similar problem going on where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like I said, a corporate world is driving the decisions of what art is being made. It's not on the individual.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like people just have to wake up. And it's like, no, it's.
And Wallace points this out in the film, but it's like Andre's methods of waking up are not super accessible that every person can do.
Yes, yeah. Andre's methods of waking up are like going to like a like just going on like all these crazy experimental theater trips and like almost but not quite having sex in a forest. And
They're doing what people think deep states like politicians
Mm.
go to, like resorts and worship. Like that's what the experience that he's pitching as how to connect with the world.
I could picture Pete Buttigieg eating sand with a monk.
Yeah. So he describes these that's did you get the vibe? Is the movie supposed to be giving off the vibe that that Wallace is like, hates listening to Andre tell these stories?
You know what? I'm not sure.
Especially early on, I got, maybe it's because I was doing a lot more audio than visually watching this movie, but it's a lot of him going off on these epic yarns of his adventures climbing mountains and like, getting buried alive. And I assume it's Wallace Shaw just being like, okay, here we go. Let's what happened next? Where did they stick it? Like,
He seems like genuinely like responding very well to the stories though. Like he'll like laugh at parts of them that I didn't even particularly find very funny.
like not a joke, but it made the scene feel very natural. And yeah, no, I think that he has a good realist perspective that grounds Andre's fantasies.
Mhm. Although I do feel like like my perception here that I got through a lot of the movie, beating around the bush, I feel like I am the Andre and you are the Wally.
Yeah, no, I mean that feels about right.
Yeah, because I'm crazy and you're normal.
You would sooner go down an eccentric rabbit hole, and I would sooner like, look, I'm trying to make have get through the week with my wife.
Yeah, truly like a big point of the movie, which was kind of a thing they kept going back to in the Frasier episode that I saw. parodying this called My Coffee with Niles, which was the first Frasier episode I've ever seen, and it kind of felt like going to the white people exhibit at the zoo. Niles keeps asking Frasier if he's happy, and I think in the original film, both of these guys are not happy.
No, they're sad individuals.
No, like Wallace is not happy because he can't make ends meet, and which is a pretty normal reason to
That's
not
like
be happy.
a classic reason to not be happy.
Yeah, and Andre is not happy because he's like, jet setting around the world searching for the meaning of life, and he's just some fucking guy and he's not gonna find it.
Yeah, right.
It's very Naked Ape playing at Fallen Angel.
Good way to put it. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's they're both in two very different worlds.
Truly. Yeah, like there's a kind of a laughing clown thing of it too, where it's like Andre, who has this like very curated like persona. He wears his like weird little rich guy sweater, and he's like, it's a mask, but he's so willing to just take it off immediately.
Yeah.
Of like, there's that exchange of dialogue of like, you look great, I feel terrible. I think he just doesn't know how to stop.
Right. He's like a it's at the behest of Wallace. Just like there's a little bit of a lack of awareness that I especially felt that in the beginning, because it takes Wally like a minute to chime in, and by a minute I mean like 40.
Yes,
it's really led by Andre, and that's why I got the feeling that he was kind of all checked out for a moment. Or maybe that was me just having to jumping recording times, or listening times.
He was definitely checked out for a good, just relating this like advanced surrealist mental health episode. There is a fascination and almost a fetishization. It's almost like the Nazis about surrealism.
Yes, to your point, they circled back to the Nazis on many occasions.
Yes, well, Andre does specifically.
Mm.
Andre also makes some point about something that Walt Whitman said about to be connected to everything is to be connected to death. And then later, Wallace makes a similar quote, and it's from a philosopher who actually was a Nazi. So, and that's like one of the first like bon mots that he gives back to Andre, and it's like, and he doesn't even pick it up on that.
Okay,
you'd think he would.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. Every time he drops a philosopher's name, maybe I'm imposing myself, because every time he dropped a philosopher name, I'm like, all right, what the fuck's this?
Oh no, yeah.
Who's this asshole?
That's the correct response to a philosopher, and I think many philosophers would agree, and some wouldn't.
But in Andre's journeys, he specifically encounters and like kind of realizes a lot of what some would call magical mythical creatures.
Yes, yeah. He's out on a hippy dippy trip finding himself, which is the most dismissive way I can put it. It sounds awesome and I want that life. But like one of the things he does is he picks up this monk in Japan, and Buddhist monk, and like it's just like, well, I met this guy in Japan and I decided, let's go around the world. So we're in the Sahara. We're eating sand. I don't know why. We're just doing it. Like, in the remake, Andre should be played by Zooey Deschanel, I think.
Ooh,
have you ever eaten sand? I call it dry food. Because I'm quirky.
A gender bent remake does make sense for this particular project.
Ooh.
Yeah,
My Dinner with Hallie. That's this episode. Well, that's half of this episode.
I do think that it's a fun, not fun. What do you call it? A semi-problematic piece of like Orientalism, where it's like, oh yes, I just went over there, picked up a monk. We went and did fun things.
Yeah. Anyway, the monk goes back with him to New York, and I do think that is Orientalism. Yes, there is like. There is very much a fetishization of the exotic, like searching out for the solution to your problems in a different country.
There's a very much a separate a movie that I imagine happening when that monk is brought in. Like,
Any one of these things could be a movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The My Dinner with Andre with prequel would go insane.
It's just Forrest Gump, but with a bunch of theater kids.
It's just Forrest Gump, but he's a theater kid, and he's not dumb, and also nothing historically important happens at all. So not like Forrest Gump.
It's an anti-Gump. When something important was happening, he was off, like, balancing upside down on top of a waterfall.
Anyway, so the monk goes with him back to New York and, like, hangs out with his family for 6 months, which is a very me move.
Mm-hmm.
And Andre tells the story thusly. Anyway, we were out in the country, and we all went to Christmas Mass together. You know, he was all dressed up in his Buddhist finery. I don't know if that's cool. And it was one of those awful, dreary Catholic churches on Long Island where the priest talks about communism and birth control. Which they still do, despite the fact that communism's gone. And I was sitting there in Mass, I was wondering, what in the world is going on? I mean, here I am, I'm a grown man, and there's this strange person living in the house, and I'm not working. You know, I was doing nothing but scribbling a little poetry in my diary, and I can't get a teaching job anymore. That one hits home. And I don't know what I want to do, and all of a sudden a huge creature appeared, looking at the congregation. It was about, I'd say, 6'8", something like that, you know, and it was half bull, half man. Its skin was blue. It had violets growing out of its eyelids and poppies growing out of its toenails, and it just stood there for the whole Mass. I mean, I could not make that creature disappear. You know, I thought, oh, well, you know, I'm just seeing this because I'm bored, you know. I could not make that creature go away. Now, I didn't talk with people about it because they'd think I was weird, but I felt that this creature was somehow coming to comfort me. That somehow he was appearing to say, well, you may feel low, and you may not be able to create a play right now, but look what can come to you on Christmas Eve. Hang on, old friend. I may seem weird to you, but on these weird voyages, weird creatures appear. It's part of the journey. You're okay. Hang in there. You're a loser, Homer. Oh, gosh. And that was my Andre.
Nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And again, this happens several times throughout the movie. And Wally is so, like, wait, I that's what I want the parody to go with of this. I was like, wait a second, what? You saw a demon?
You saw a minotaur? It's half bull, half man.
A minotaur was there with flowers in its toesies, and you didn't say anything?
He mentions a surrealist magazine from the 20s and 30s called Minotaur.
Okay.
And this is a very surreal Minotaur that appears to him. Now I'm fucking talking like him. And this is, a very surrealist Minotaur that appears to...
I think if you don't leave this movie being able to talk like Andre, then you watched it wrong.
What if you come out of it talking like Wally? And you're just like, am I doing it bad? Because Andre is clearly the right guy. He's clearly the guy you're supposed to think is right. Not true. That's not how it works.
No,
he's the manic pixie dream girl.
Exactly. And these manic pixies that he encounters on his way are really concerning if you take a second to imagine them as something that actually happened. So a minotaur came to him.
A minotaur came to me. Pop that one in your wigglies. That's what I call ears because they're wiggly shaped. Let's get ice cream and dance on the moon.
Yeah. So I was confused. I was like, in the context of this film, what are we supposed to believe is happening here? Is this just a fancy theater way of this guy to say, like, oh hey, I had this fun idea?
I think this is
is it a trip that he's on?
I think it's just like sort of a vision. Like you're just sort of as a crazy person.
Okay.
Sometimes you're just kind of struck by the concept of something so profoundly that you can almost trick like the dreaming part of your brain into envisioning it.
Ah, okay, like a night terror kind of thing, but you're already awake.
Yes, yeah, and in a moment of just profound boredom, like what he describes, and clearly he has some unprocessed religious trauma.
Yes.
Not using the movie to diagnose myself. I've processed it. How
I
much more
process.
can I?
The answer is bad.
Yeah,
Through the process, I've determined there's a lot.
like I've talked before on the show about my demon
Mhm.
demon problem, cum demon solution,
I don't know why you
and
put cumin there, but go on.
no, you know damn well why, but um, but I think this is similar in
Mhm.
that it's kind of a hallucination. Maybe not even literal. Maybe it's just like, seeing the statue within the marble,
Ooh.
right? It's like that's not exactly a hallucination in that you don't literally see the statue in the marble, but it just kind of strikes you and possesses you.
Mhm.
Like it's artistic vision. It's like when you have a good idea for something to draw or paint. Like
Ah, okay.
you look at the canvas and you're like, I know exactly what to do. I can see it in my eye.
Treating it like an artist's sixth sense.
Yes.
Ah, got it. So that
But
that
also he definitely does a ton of drugs. So maybe it's just that.
yeah, that said, he also is totally hopped up for a lot of the time.
Popping acid and going to church feels like a terrible idea.
No, I would not. I would not recommend it. Not that I've experienced it.
No, no. Like my experience with weed, which is like acid, for sure.
Uh,
But like, if you're in a good mood, it'll make your mood better. If you're in like an anxious mood, it will ruin your whole day. And I feel like that would be the latter option. And I imagine it's the same thing.
now imagine and now imagine going on a trip and then you go to a different church than the one you grew up with.
Hmm.
I had a friend who did that, not high or anything like that, but it's just like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on here? Why are they using a spoon?
That's crazy.
What's happening here?
Like a different church in the same denomination, or not even? Like not even.
Different denomination. It was some not to be insensitive, but it's like they don't touch the communion. It's a ball of dough that they fling with spoons into your mouth.
That's
And other
This is the thing about different strings of Christianity is like in a vacuum that sounds fun.
yeah,
But it's probably also like, and also we teach that Mexicans can't be allowed to breed. And it's like, oh no.
right. You go through the weeds, but that is, I think, a good explanation for that one. What about the fawn situation?
Yes. Yeah, there's a situation that Andre describes later about the story of this mathematician, the scientist with the initials ROC that he calls Rock. And he's the founder of this kind of community at Findhorn in Scotland, which is supposed to be this like mystical place. And I mean mystical in the sense of like mysticism.
Yeah.
Like they make deals with the insects about letting them eat certain vegetables or not. And he says that this mathematician was like very much had no imaginary life and was like very proud of like staying grounded and in reality and being able to kind of commune with the numbers, the Pacific Rim quote of like numbers are as close as we get to the handwriting of God comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like I think the implication is that he gets so like profoundly bored that that he ends up seeing a fawn in the garden,
Oh, okay.
like an
Again,
faun, like a little nature spirit, a little goat man.
again, Wally is not would not have the reaction that I did to the part about it's like, oh yeah, I met this fawn, and
Mm.
like we had a real like we had a lot of back and forths. I met the other fawn, and we the we went to see meet Pan himself.
Mm-hmm.
This whole leg of this journey that he describes in the exact same way that he would meeting an Asian person.
Oh God, it's true. Yeah, yeah. Like, is this like an accent thing with Andre's accent, where I think I say fawn and fawn? No, I say it the same.
Yeah, I didn't notice, but he does make a point of like clarifying that's not a baby deer, a little goat
Mm.
man, a little like pygmy goat man
And
to Wally.
Wally is like, oh, like Debussy, and like holds his hand up like their ears.
Hmm.
And I'll be honest, this is the first time I learned that that guy's name is not Debussy.
Oh no.
Another thing that I wanted to call attention to was Andre using the metaphor of like people are zombies now, and it's like whatever happened to the fucking like whatever happened to the milkman, the paperboy, and evening TV man. We gotta kill. You can't have the milkman, the paperboy, and the evening TV anymore on account of woke.
Right, no, all them sensibilities are not accounted for.
Yeah, but like the thing about zombies,
Hmm.
the original horror of zombies is not what if you were trapped in a room with zombies and they were trying to get you. In Haitian folklore, the like conceit of like why zombie stories are so terrifying is like zombies are controlled by a evil kind of practitioner of the supernatural, of the mystical arts. And the horror is what if death were not an escape from slavery?
Oh, okay. It's what if you have an eternal puppeteer?
Yeah, it's what if you were a zombie and just being in proximity to zombies is enough to trigger that fear.
Mm.
It's about separating the higher functions of the soul, the petit bonange from the gros bonange from the lower functions, like that just control the body. The gros bonange, the petit bonange.
Yeah, what if you had no soul anymore?
Yeah. What if you had part of a soul,
Oh,
but like you were being
yeah, you were diluted down to being to nothing.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the horror of zombieism. And like the point is, zombies are controlled and made to do a task. Like the Romero zombies, which in Night of the Living Dead aren't called zombies, for the record.
Mhm.
That's just kind of a conflation with the earlier media, like White Zombie and that sort of thing. But I think the task that the American people and society at large, and I'll extend past the West, and I'll say that like a lot of societies are heavily capitalist, and it very, very interconnected to the point where I think calling it Western society feels wrong somehow.
Mm.
It always feels incomplete to say, but like we're here to buy products.
Mhm.
It's about profit at the expense of literally everything else.
Yeah, it's the mindset of pure consumerism.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's the mindset of pure consumerism, which is like damaging to the average person, but to the person, the puppeteer, the like, the fucking MBA trust funds, the horrible exploitative billionaire millionaire guy up at the top. Like that's a that's not a person anymore.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool. Look at all this money that I'm getting from this source. Not even like tapping into the humanity. They're not like me. They're like they're just I'm the sower. They're the reaped.
Hmm. I mean, that's horrific in and of itself.
Oh
And I
yeah,
think that's the real.
I had some what was it conversations with families recently because they didn't understand just expressing that's like the explain the philosophy that no, there are no good billionaires.
Mm.
In order to accumulate that much wealth, you have to be evil. You have to not be a human anymore.
Yeah, you don't earn that like a wage.
Yeah,
Like you don't get paid $700 million an hour.
people are being exploited for you to have that incredible amount of money. There's no going about it. Anyone that gets to like the millionaire, the people that live in the millionaire space are people that still have at least a shred of personableness left, where they can where they're giving away a percent.
Mm.
and it's less about the hoarding.
Yeah, you can't make $1 billion. You have to take $1 billion.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That I see how connecting that to the horror of being a zombie. Now bring it back to Andre.
Right. Andre is profoundly terrified of society.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good
It's
way to put it. The way he describes kind of called hyper what do you call it? Hyper introvertedness
mm,
in settings almost that facade that you mentioned. It's like a called like sounds like someone on the spectrum describing how they interact with people with regular like kind of emotional curves.
mm. It's almost like hyper individualism, but also he is promoting like, talking with people and being in community with
Yeah,
people.
I
It's
wonder.
like hyper insularism.
Do you think that Andre is full of shit in the specific way of like all we do is connect with people. I don't connect with people unless it's on this like a very specific way.
I think he's grabbing at straws.
Hmm.
I think as much as even like Wallace Shawn in interviews years later describes Wally as someone that he wanted to like, you know, exercise from his soul, like a version of himself that he was playing that's like a step to the left of himself, kind of.
Okay.
As much as he says that guy is motivated by fear, so is Andre.
Hmm.
Deeply and profoundly. I think the fears are different. I think Wally's motivation by fear. I think Wally's fear is more material. I think Wally's concerns are more material.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Andre's fears are of a giant minotaur in church.
Yeah.
Something a little less material. But no.
Honestly, I find myself. I said at one point that I was the Andre and you were the Wally.
Mm-hmm.
I think the nature of the beast is that, like, we are all kind of Wally.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
here I am. I don't have time to hallucinate minotaurs. Like, I have like $14 in my bank account
Mm-hmm.
at time of recording. I don't have any fucking means of, well, also partially because I've resigned from so many jobs for ideological reasons. Ideological? Whatever. And that reminds me of fascism because of don't worry about it.
Yeah, following this logical path of it's like, yeah, Wallace wishes that he has had the problems that Andre has. It feels like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
most of
I
us
do. Wally does.
It's like oh, I wish I could just float around like the different countries and struggle with this.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I had the freedom to encounter those difficulties, but I'm too stuck here. I do think there's something to the human condition of the both of them with this, where I've had this thought before, where it's like, oh, as a human, you're always going to have problems.
Absolutely.
You are never going to be comfortable. You're never going to be set. You could be the richest person in the world, and it's not going to be enough, and you're not going to be satisfied. You are going to make problems out of everything. If you are, a trophy wife, you are going to still instill stress upon yourself and grow like conflicts. They'll just be on a totally different scope and scale to what the average American is grappling with.
This is where we learn that Adam's ultimate goal is to become a trophy wife. It can still happen.
It's a what do you call it? It's a mindset that my wife has, like floated before. It's the I work a job.
Mm.
I bring an income. We have a healthy income between the two of us. Why is the one thing that I want to do stay home with my son not a possibility? It's a real good conundrum there, where it's like, wow, I have just enough money to lose the thing that if I had no money I would have. And yeah, that's a tough thing to grapple with.
I think the romanticism of like not having to work, of being able to stay at home with your child and give it the care and attention that it deserves.
Mhm.
I think that's a kind of fantasy that strikes women a lot more than men for obviously traditional reasons. And the truth is that ideally both of you would be there watching him grow and learn and loving each other and your little family as it grows bigger and more complicated by virtue of this human person becoming more of a person every single day. And like, I don't know, once in a while you'd go out and stab a elk and like get some roots and berries together or some shit. And like you guys would each take turns getting the elk, getting the berries, and you would come back to the cave and you would just hang out there. And I would be there also. I'd be painting something on the walls. My eyes would be glazed.
Yeah.
I'm like a weird shaman. I've got antlers on. I feel that's my role in the community, in the cave people community, the cave cousins.
But I see it too as I don't think that cave community there's a eternal happiness there. I think there's the oh fuck, I gotta get an elk. We're low on berries. Shit. I think that's always gonna be there.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're like, oh man, I'm almost out of fucking paint. I gotta finish my vision board.
I gotta chew up more ochre.
Damn, my jaw is sore today. Can't chew up as much ochre.
You know what? I didn't think we were going to get here, but one thing that I saw was I was on the Hero Forge subreddit last night, and I saw somebody made a Hero Forge model of Shandahar 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that name is, I'm sure, unfamiliar to you, but
Shandahar 1, of course, the from from Animorphs. That's the one with the 3 heads and the green legs, right?
that is really, really, really close to an Animorphs naming convention, actually. But no. Shandahar 1 is a Neanderthal specimen excavated in Shandahar Cave in Iraq.
The first one.
And the first specimen excavated, one assumes.
I got that much.
And I knew about this academically, but it didn't really hit me emotionally until I saw my partner, who is also like very into paleo stuff, as we talk about in the Discord all the time. There was a little dedupe there for sure.
I assume that was implied. I didn't know that the yeah.
Okay, good. But we were at the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
And we saw a display about Shandahar 1. And I could hear like a shakiness in their voice, and I gave them a hug, and we were just talking about the specimen, and it didn't strike me until now what an emotionally effective specimen this is, because this is a Neanderthal, so not Homo sapiens.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree about that, but that's not the convention. This is a different species of person who is constantly looked down on in like media as like a chimpanzee plus, when I think we should start with the baseline assumption that Neanderthals are just as capable as us, like just as emotionally complicated and intelligent as us.
Yeah.
And then like see if the evidence points to, oh no, they couldn't do X, Y, or Z. It seems weird, like the null hypothesis and the alternative hypotheses here seem to be switched. And I think that's an artifact of tradition, and I think that's kind of an artifact of scientific racism. But in any case,
oh yeah,
Shandahar 1.
It's the fucking it's the Geico philosophy.
Yes, but in any case, Shandahar 1 is a maybe like 45-ish year old Neanderthal who is missing an arm. Has severe damage to the left side of his face. Just tons and tons of broken bones all throughout his body. And the thing is, he didn't die from any of those injuries. All of those injuries show signs of healing. There was simply no way that this guy could have hunted for himself, could have gathered for himself.
Oh.
And go on.
I made the connection. You say that you're getting at some kind of like, this is a community that had empathy to have a specimen like this living there.
Precisely. Yes, this was this was a community that cared.
Yeah, sure.
These were people that cared about each other, that loved each other. This is scientific evidence of love.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, if that can exist in a group of humans, like the Neanderthals, that are the sister species to Homo sapiens, I think they're the same thing. I think that Neanderthal ancestors should be classified as a subspecies of sapiens myself. But that's neither here nor there. But like this group of humans that's close but not quite close to us, being able to show that kind of empathy shows that condition is older than any kind of society that we've built, maybe even older than fire. And I think that is worth considering as the bedrock of the species. Like, that should be one's base function, is empathy. Fish gotta swim, people gotta feel.
Yeah, that's really good, and I think that's something that should be maintained.
Yeah. And if there's any solution to the corporate fascist hellscape,
it's that don't lose your empathy.
Yeah. I think it's don't lose your empathy. I think it's on the individual level. What you can do is don't lose your empathy for other people, build connections, build community. Love, always.
All right. Are you ready to go to the final rating place?
Yes, I am.
All right. How are we going to do this one?
I guess we rate...
Andre?
I think we rate Andre. Andre is the monster this week.
All right. Andre, to me, is traveled several kilometers up his own ass, which is an impressive feat. But I can't give a human like this a bad score.
Well, maybe this is a bad plan then.
No, wait. Maybe that's wrong. Because hang on. You go first.
Okay. I think Andre is... I think we should all have the opportunity to do what Andre does and go on, like, deep spiritual explorations of the self and the community and what that all means.
100%. I'd love to have that freedom, but we can't.
Let's go to a forest in Poland and throw a teddy bear into the air and hug or whatever and get buried alive on Halloween night and eat sand and ride a moped with Jim Carrey and listen to, like, 2 different earbuds at the same time, like Garden State.
And weirdly have naked shower scenes in 2 movies, like family movies back to back in the same year.
Okay, Elf, and what else?
It's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy also has one. Thank
you, straight boy.
No, I was watching that movie recently, and I was just like, what the fuck? Didn't Elf just happen? And it did. And I'm like, why? Why?
That's really weird. Maybe she updated her contract. Like, hey, normal scenes only, please.
No more
Not whatever the
scenes.
fuck is... I haven't revisited Elf in a while, but that scene inspires dread.
Yeah, that's a weird thing that pops up on TV, on cable every Christmas.
Yeah. I'm gonna give Andre 10 out of 10 because like, yes, he is wrong, and yes, he is terribly motivated by fear, and I don't know what I was going to give him 10 out of 10 for originally. I'm gonna say like 5 out of 10. I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair of anyone, honestly.
Yeah, I was thinking 5 out of 10.
Yeah, we should all aspire to be 5 out of 10. And I am.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing...
I have one more question I wanted to ask, actually.
Yes, let's go. Oh, while they bring us the espresso.
Yes. Is this Monster Right Media?
Hmm.
An addendum to the final rating place after 500 episodes of this program.
I'm going to say yes. In the same way, Lilo meets Stitch. I think Wally meets Andre,
Huh.
and kind of encounters this weird. It starts off with a lot of dread for this occasion.
Hmm.
A lot of like, I don't really want to do this, but I have to. It's grappling with a devil on a mountaintop a bit. This whole situation.
All right.
I was dreading this as how the movie starts, and I was happy for my dinner with Andre as how it ends. So I'm going to say that yes, that's Finding Monster Right.
It is grappling with the unknown.
Mhm.
Very much so. It is grappling with the dark of what you don't understand and finding a warmth and a beauty in it.
Exactly, which is very funny that they found that while exploring the lack of it in the world.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for joining us for for what's it? What did you eat in this imaginary breakfast?
HRT. I can't afford anything else besides what I already have.
I had bacon and sausage, but like 2 side dishes of just that.
Lovely. Oh gosh, if I were actually at a diner, what would I order? I don't know, eggs, something.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we hope next time we can set aside our differences and go on an expedition together.
Absolutely. Take us out.
Okay. Goodbye.
No, like with the
Oh, sorry.
There's a closing narration also.
So after my conversation with Allie, I hopped into my chair again because I'm working from home today, hoping that soon my son would awake and I would get to see him before work continued. Very excited to listen back to my breakfast with Allie.
Lovely. Now, do we want the music at the end of that to be Gymnopede #1, like in the movie, or should it be Work From Home by Fifth Harmony?
You're a dealer's choice.
Okay.